Hey everyone, today we are going to look at the best Nintendo Switch games. Let's start with Animal Crossing: New Horizons, which remains one of the most popular and enjoyable games on the Nintendo Switch. As lockdowns began happening across the world, Animal Crossing: New Horizons invited players to a tranquil island for a relaxing loop of activities like fishing, bug catching, and perfecting the layout of their virtual homes. Nintendo has steadily introduced new features to New Horizons, including plenty of free content as well as the massive Happy Home Paradise DLC. New Horizons also has robust customization features, including a new terraforming feature that gives you complete control over the terrain of your island. Whether you're conversing with your fellow residents, trying to complete your museum catalog, or visiting your friends' islands, Animal Crossing: New Horizons is always charming. A showstopper of confident combat and demonic dance moves, Bayonetta 3 gets action in a way that few other games do. A cocky blast of fun that caps the Bayonetta trilogy off on a high note, Bayonetta 3 isn't afraid to mix up its formula with the arrival of a new character who's a perfect contrast to the elegant anarchy of the titular witch. With a multi-dimensional storyline, full-scale kaiju battles, and even a Hollywood-level chase sequence, Bayonetta 3 doesn't forget why fans fell in love with the series in the first place. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was a Switch launch title, but it remains one of the best games on the platform all these years later. Many fans have called it the best game in the entire franchise, though the next game on this list has a strong argument, too. Breath of the Wild was Nintendo's first real foray into open-world games, and it's easily one of the best in class. Breath of the Wild provides a sense of exploration never before seen in the series. The sprawling open-world Hyrule is gorgeous and serves as its personal playground. You can climb virtually anything, which creates an incredible sense of scale and freedom. This overarching trend extends to the central progression as well. Replacing elaborate dungeons with tons of small-scale shrines allows you to approach the adventure on your own. Breath of the Wild is one of the few open-world games that isn't riddled with extreme systems and objectives. It prides itself on offering a slower pace and a more scenic, desolate world that's ripe for exploring, whether you're on foot, horseback, or scaling a cliff searching for a new discovery. Breath of the Wild is a stunning, brilliant adventure. A wonderful platformer with an important message, Celeste feels right at home on Nintendo Switch. Madeline makes the trip to the treacherous Mount Celeste, a snow-covered mountain filled with perilous cliffs and interesting characters. Rendered in gorgeous pixelated graphics, Celeste plays like an old-school platformer and relies largely on well-timed jumps. It feels superb in motion, and the level design gradually grows more challenging as you acquire new abilities that cleverly expand the gameplay. It's a difficult game, but you can tweak the settings to fit your skill level to enjoy the story. Celeste tells a moving tale about finding yourself and overcoming self-doubt that creeps into your mind. It's one of the most poignant games in recent years as well as one of the best side-scrolling platformers on Switch. Studio MDHR's Cuphead is a glorious ode to classic cartoons and a tremendous run-and-gun. Cuphead originally released for Xbox One and PC before being ported to Nintendo Switch. It made a smooth transition and runs flawlessly on the Switch hardware whether you're playing on your TV or in handheld mode. Cuphead's art style immediately stands out. The hand-drawn characters and animations look ripped out of a 1930s cartoon, giving Cuphead a visual style that will always look great. The jazzy audio design rounds out the presentation, transporting players to a different time. Essentially, it's a playable cartoon. Cuphead is far more than just a beautiful artistic triumph. It's also an aptly designed run-and-gun filled with exciting boss fights and cleverly made side-scrolling levels. If you're not afraid of a challenge, Cuphead is an absolute must-play game whether you play solo or cooperatively with a friend. The delicious Last Course expansion only added to Cuphead's greatness by offering a brand new playable character and some of the most impressive boss fights and animations across the whole package. Relentlessly engaging and rife with variety, Fire Emblem: Three Houses is the most impressive entry in the beloved strategy series. You play as a professor who oversees one of three houses at a mysterious monastery. There, you cultivate relationships and train your students to be prepared for the battles ahead. While recent Fire Emblem games have leaned more into social simulation, Three Houses takes this concept to the next level and includes some well-implemented management sim features. It strikes a wonderful balance between storytelling, preparation for the next battle, and the always wonderful tactical combat scenarios the series is known for. With deftly written characters, an exceedingly good tale, and smart tweaks to the layered combat system, Fire Emblem Three Houses is an astonishing experience from start to finish. And more than any other Fire Emblem game before it, Three Houses encourages multiple playthroughs to see the whole story, and each playthrough is different. It's something of a miracle that Divinity: Original Sin 2 plays so well on Nintendo Switch. While the resolution is worse than on other platforms, particularly in handheld mode, Original Sin 2 runs well. The massive turn-based CRPG from Larian Studios is a modern masterpiece in the genre, featuring a stunning fantasy world, rich writing, and a combat system with consummate depth. If you're looking for an old-school CRPG to play at home or on the go, Divinity: Original Sin 2 is one of your best bets. It's big and bold and manages to offer surprises and new layers even after dozens of hours of play. Though escaping the underworld is the goal in Hades, being sent back to it after each failed run isn't a bad consolation prize. Hades, more than any other roguelike before it, intertwines its fast-paced action gameplay with its exquisite story in such a way that failure can be a good thing. You play as Hades' son Zagreus, a charismatic hero in his own right, but it's the supporting cast and all of their own interpersonal tales that make Hades such an enriching experience. Each attempt to escape the underworld is a thrilling pursuit, one that relies on experimentation with your build to find the right balance for you. The combat has more depth than you'd initially expect, and after a few hours of futile escape attempts, Hades really starts to click. Even after you finally escape, Hades has a wonderful endgame that includes new storylines and challenging combat scenarios. It's a good thing that Hollow Knight is such a good Metroidvania that you can comfortably hop into whenever the fancy strikes you, because it makes the wait for its sequel Silk Song that much more bearable. The original game had some rough edges, but these were smoothed over in time, and the Bugs Life adventure that came out of this was nothing short of exceptional. Hollow Knight is haunting and elegant, an aggressive collection of combat and exploration that feels right at home on the Switch. This version also contains all of its DLC, a sizable chunk of content that expands on the game massively and is enhanced by its gorgeous visual design. Subset Games Into the Breach is a rare type of game that feels and plays like nothing before it. Developed by FTL Studio Subset Games, Into the Breach is a roguelike tactics game that takes place on tiny grids. In the distant future, the monstrous Vek are threatening humanity. To save the world from monsters, you assemble a team of 3 mechs who take on the Vek in small-scale battles on 8x8 grids. Each battle only lasts several turns, and the goal isn't to overpower the Vek. Instead, you're trying to deter their attacks and limit damage on critical infrastructure. You can also see a preview of each Vek's next move at the start of every turn, allowing you to strategize for the best possible outcome. Into the Breach is more like chess than a traditional tactics game, and you'd be surprised at how involved the matches can get. Into the Breach innovates on the form more than any other game in recent memory. Simply put, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the best game in series history. As Kirby's first 3D platforming adventure, Forgotten Land offers remarkable variety and depth compared to earlier entries in the series. Kirby's iconic copy ability works incredibly well in 3D, adding depth to both puzzles and combat. With 6 unique worlds that each contain levels that are littered with secrets and novel design quirks, Kirby and the Forgotten is one of those platformers that constantly surprises. Kirby's new Mouthful Mode ability is a charmer and spices up gameplay even more. The lengthy mainline stages are complemented by short and sweet time trials dubbed Treasure Road. These optional levels utilize Kirby's copy and Mouthful abilities in fun and interesting ways, and completing them feeds into the overall loop that compels you to upgrade copy abilities to make them even cooler. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is an absolute delight from start to finish, whether you're playing solo or alongside a friend or loved one in local co-op. Dead Cells is an amalgamation of roguelikes and Metroidvanias, and the result is an influential game that will likely be considered one of the best in both genres for years to come. Set in a procedurally generated castle, you play as a reanimated mass of cells taking hold of a prisoner's body. The labyrinthine castle is crawling with dangerous enemies and littered with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Each time you die, which tends to happen fairly regularly, you have to start over again. Critically, there are permanent upgrades, which allow you to make progress and see new areas with each subsequent run. With finely tuned and stylish action combat, an array of cool abilities and weapons, and an expertly designed map that changes each time you play, Dead Cells compels you to see it through to the end. And like all good roguelikes, Dead Cells makes you want to play through it again and again. Dead Cells has a bunch of great add-on content, including a great Castlevania-themed DLC, which really does feel like a perfect pairing. An expanded port of the excellent Wii U game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is the best racing game on Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe currently contains more than 40 racers and 48 tracks, including many of the best courses from Mario Kart history. Deluxe adds several notable features, including driving assistance settings for new players and 2 item slots. It also has an extended battle mode, which winds up making Mario Kart 8 Deluxe the most content-rich and well-rounded entry in series history. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe released during the Switch's launch window, but it remains one of the most popular multiplayer games on the console for good reason. It should be in every Nintendo Switch owner's library. After a nearly 2-decade wait, Metroid returned to its side-scrolling roots for an adventure that closed out the current Metroid saga. Remarkably, Metroid Dread lives up to the high expectations set by longtime fans. Developed by Mercury Steam, Metroid: Samus Returns, Metroid Dread is a wonderful adventure that sticks to its roots. Dread shines mechanically, with fast-paced combat, a wide range of upgrades to acquire, and a stable of bosses that test your fortitude and counterattack skills. Dread also introduces the EMMI, creepy robots who patrol designated zones and cause instant game overs if you're caught. It's an absolute joy to explore the maze-like locales, and Dread's huge swath of secrets to uncover encourages multiple playthroughs. Metroid Dread is easily one of the best side-scrollers on Switch, and it's a reminder that going back to your roots can be a truly excellent idea. The Monster Hunter series has a long history on Nintendo platforms dating back nearly a decade, and though Monster Hunter World didn't release for the Switch, Capcom rectified that with the excellent Monster Hunter Rise. Though it started as a Switch exclusive, Rise has since been ported to other platforms and received a massive DLC, Sunbreak, that makes it all the more enjoyable. Rise adds a level of verticality through the Wirebug tool. Though perfect for shorter gameplay sessions, it also fits comfortably as a mainline entry with a big map, online multiplayer action, and a ton of depth in the various weapon types for players looking to experiment. With a mix of classic monsters and newcomers, it's a great entry point and perfect for the series' veterans. Perhaps the most beloved of Mario's many RPG incarnations, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door received an excellent and loving remake on Nintendo Switch this year. The bright, colorful visuals look better than ever thanks to an HD remaster. The heartfelt and often funny dialogue still shines through years later, and the turn-based battle system still feels dynamic and incredibly balanced. In addition to remastering a beloved game, a new fast travel, hint, and training options helped streamline the experience and make it more approachable for newcomers. This is the definitive way to experience a classic all over again, or for the first time. The classic platformer series made a return as a Metroidvania, and the results are stellar. This new Prince of Persia revolves around Sargon, the youngest member of a specialized Persian royal guard called the Immortals, who gets caught up in a web of intrigue and betrayal when one of their own kidnaps the kingdom's prince. That leads his band to the mysterious and cursed Mount Kaf, where the adventure takes place, with fine-tuned combat, nail-biting platforming, and excellent new Metroidvania quality-of-life features. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is both a leader in its genre and a triumphant return for the classic franchise. It's definitely worth checking out, and the handheld nature of the Switch makes it easy to explore while lounging with your favorite baking show. The Shin Megami Tensei mainline series may not be as popular in North America as the Persona series, but JRPG fans shouldn't miss out on Shin Megami Tensei V. This Nintendo Switch exclusive captures the unique atmosphere that the series is known for and complements it with brilliant battles that require players to be strategic with their decisions. The story is a slow burn, but it's filled with interesting characters and choice-driven plot points that make it engaging throughout. If you're looking for a JRPG on Switch that you can sink dozens and dozens of hours into, Shin Megami Tensei V is a great choice, and you don't need to have played previous entries to enjoy it. Splatoon 3 isn't as novel an experience the third time around, but this squidtastic game still knows how to make a splash. Family-friendly action in a colorful world, Splatoon 3 refines its formula and creates a highlight reel of fun zone mechanics in online competition, a single-player mode that is delightfully challenging, and clever multiplayer maps. With a massive amount of multiplayer modes and options on offer, Splatoon 3 is a buffet of content that you won't run out of anytime soon. Veterans to the series might need some more convincing before they hop back into familiar territory, but for anyone who has yet to play a Splatoon game, Splatoon 3 is the perfect entry point. Tired of the hustle and bustle of city life, you move to your grandfather's farm in Stardew Valley, a picturesque rural community where life moves slower than you're used to. Stardew Valley is both a relaxing farming sim and a wonderful social sim filled with relatable characters. Though it lets you make your own fun, Stardew Valley does have a clever loop that slowly builds as you develop relationships, acquire new gear, and uncover the game's many secrets. It's easy to pour hundreds of hours into Stardew Valley. There's so much to see and do, and after a while, Stardew Valley has the familiarity of home, one that's always a pleasure to return to. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the first new 2D Mario in years, not under the New Super Mario brand, and the reason why couldn't be clearer. While the new SMB series was well made as a retro throwback, Super Mario Wonder is a true evolution of Mario mechanics that pushes the series forward in ways that we haven't seen for years. The marquee Wonder effects imbue every stage with wild, unique mechanics, while a new badge equipment system lets you experiment with different powers. New stage types and power-ups abound as well, making this an absolute delight. With more than 80 fighters so far, more than 100 stages, and a wide variety of content, whether you're playing multiplayer or refining your skills against the CPU, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the most comprehensive and plentiful brawler in franchise history. The expansive roster of characters with totally different playstyles is impressive enough to keep you playing for the long haul, but Smash Bros. Ultimate is far more than just a collection of Nintendo characters and anime characters with swords hitting each other repeatedly. It's a deeply satisfying brawler that refines the overall gameplay to make the most technically sound Smash Bros. To date. It's full of video game history, too, from unlockable trinkets to iconic music. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the best fighting game on Nintendo Switch. We'd also recommend the Fighter Passes, which grant access to additional characters and stages. Vanillaware's strategy RPG is a great example of what the studio does best: deep and rich decision-making with gorgeous hand-drawn art. The strategy here is an inventive blend of real-time unit movement and turn-based battles when two units come into conflict with each other, making planning your engagements just as important as the decisions you make in the heat of combat. Positioning and choosing your classes makes the moments between battles feel valuable and weighty. And the art and character design that Vanillaware has become so known for shines beautifully. Between Mario and Zelda, it's a shame that Xenoblade Chronicles doesn't get more love on Nintendo platforms. But for anyone looking to see superstar developer Monolith Soft at its very best, the trilogy of Xenoblade Chronicles games available right now are masterpieces of JRPG design, world building, and incredible visuals. Make no mistake, these games are incredibly deep and have steep learning curves, but stick with them and you'll find a rewarding experience waiting for you at the end. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is easily the best of the bunch, a lengthy and stunning adventure that can keep you occupied for the rest of 2023. A testament to just what the Switch is capable of when a developer is firing on all cylinders. Each Xenoblade game is worth investing your precious time and delivers a unique magic that you'll only find on Nintendo hardware. Super Mario Odyssey is a relentlessly joyful 3D platformer that gives players far more freedom than they've had in previous 3D Mario games. Super Mario Odyssey has a series of large, open levels, each of which is chock full of power moons to find by completing tricky platforming sequences, besting foes, and solving puzzles. It also introduces a new array of moves thanks to Mario's sentient hat Cappy. If you're playing Super Mario Odyssey with young children, the cooperative mode is excellent, as it allows one player to take control of Cappy, who can't take damage. Super Mario Odyssey is Mario's biggest adventure yet, with more to see and do than ever before in a 3D Mario game. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, as that really helps a lot. If you think any game is missing or if you're planning to play any of these games, don't forget to leave a comment. Those were the top 20 best games for Nintendo Switch. This has been another video from New Quest Play, and I'll be here waiting for you for the next quest.